I started in Eyewitness News and foreign correspondent, and so I was a real news junkie. The big thing though was that you'd had 5 years at university being with all these like-minded people with similar values, and and you got to the newsroom where I thought we were going to change the world, and it so wasn't like that. And I couldn't believe how disinterested people were in the news, and how people couldn't be bothered going out and getting stories, and we had to have those chimneys that exploded every night as the last news story, and the cat up a tree, and yeah, it was nothing like I'd ever imagined, and thought, oh, I can't possibly work here. One of my field stories, it was on inseminating sheep. I remember with Jim Hopkins as the presenter, we got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted that vigil moment where all the sheep were on the hill and he would walk down carrying a lamb and talking about it. And I don't know how the bloody hell they did it in the movie, because it was like 15 takes and the crew and everybody walked off on me, because every time a man walks down a hill, the sheep all went like that, and there was never more than 1 or 2 sheep in a shot. So I was full of great ideas on those at that time with that science show, because it was all about the pictures, but was not so good on the ability to execute. The last show I directed was the Christmas episode, and I had this great idea to do the links with Joanna McMiniman and Pete Llewellyn and Jim Hopkins, and we would get an entire food intake of a New Zealander for 1 year in the studio to show what we consumed. Without recognising that, and I got it all contraed, which was very good, showed entrepreneurial skills at an early age, but we had dripping legs of lamb, I had broken eggs, I had melting butter, the whole thing, and one of the presenters actually slid on some of the butter as they walked through on the black shiny floor, and it was an absolute disaster. And then another good morale idea. They were hard, quite hard stories. I mean, we'd do 20 minutes story on building the snow cave, up at Coronet Peak, and you'd tramp out for bloody miles. I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing there? And the crew and everyone would be just so knackered from it. And then the presenter, which was Phil, I think, that story, and they stayed overnight, and we hightailed it down to Eichardt's Bar, and then to my, I was so gutted. We got up too late and we missed the sunrise, and I knew I was going to be in big trouble, because I had shot list and sold the producer, and then I'll have the sunrise over the igloo, and out he comes and blah blah, and we're racing up this hill and we missed it. What I was able to do in editing is I was able to take the sunset from the night before and reverse it and make a sunrise. And the producer came in and said, well done, Janine, and I'm glad to see you got yourself up there, and the editor's just sitting there, and he'd actually got me out of the shit. I was very happy, pleased, and grateful for that. One of the very first jobs of mine was to blow up Selwyn Toogood's cue cards, which, I think about it then, we never had, we had photocopiers for scripts, but we couldn't do enlargements and all this sort of thing. So I'd trot off down to wherever it was, Rink Xerox, and blow the cards up and stand up, because he had a failing eyesight in those days. Yeah, that's right, crazy. The panellists, I was absolutely in awe of them and totally intimidated by them, and they were so stroppy and strident and confident, and I just thought they were brilliant. And it's that thing, as you say, having watched it as a kid on the other side of the screen, to now be there holding Sally's cue card. I mean, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. It was a bit like being an extra in McFarlane Gadsby, which I did a little bit of in Christchurch, and they'd do, a lot of political satire, and they'd be based at cocktail parties and things like that, and I just would eat cracker after cracker in the background, but just to be part of that and to feel that, and knowing all the time I really wanted to be, a producer one day, but just being around it and just soaking it was wonderful. By putting the Spy Rider on the road, and by Tamati coming live from small towns and involving them in games and connecting back into the studio, I think that was something that really struck a chord with people. So that was something that I think we've added value to that wonderful What Now brand, which is bigger than the people that make it. We're holding the torch for it now, and we'll pass the torch to somebody else. Not quite ready to give it up, but it's really important to do it to yourself before someone does it to you, one of my sayings. And so therefore we're constantly reviewing our format and looking what kids are liking and what they're into, and you're just trying to connect with them and put them at front and centre of everything that you do. The magazine program was to celebrate New Zealanders' achievements, but in a very international style, very slick. Music is a key mainstay in a show like that, so we've had every band and musician and on the show, and that's really important. But we've kept it quite slick. The other great thing about it is Erin is the glue, and she's absolutely stunning. She's a great, very talented presenter. We've also got a team of reporters who are really passionate. So Isaac Ross, All Black, who loves his sport. You've got Kimberly Crossman reporting on entertainment because she's Shortland Street. You've got Ruby, this wonderful DJ musician, reporting on music. So and Katie on fit. Everybody who reports for the show is doing what they love and are passionate about. They're not doing it to be a television presenter or a reporter because they love television. They're actually coming from a place of their real passion. And I think that kids see that, and when they interview and talk, that's where they're coming from. And I think that's partly contributing to its success, which, some Monday to Fridays, it's probably averaging a 45% share now of 5 to 14-year-olds, which has been unprecedented in that time slot of 4:30 to 5. So it's really had cut through in a relatively short amount of time because it's connecting with kids, keeping it real. It's not patronising, and it's full of people who just love what they're doing. Kids do deserve to have their own game shows, their own documentaries, their own sports shows, and it's a little hard in our small number, only for 4 million people to be able to fund that. And so now for me, 20-something years on, we've got to be looking further afield. We've got to sail our waka in other seas and look at co-productions and look at sharing of resources with other production companies overseas to ensure that range of diversity for kids. So it's looking at other ways of producing the television and harnessing the talent and getting those new formats out there for all kids. Jace always jokes that I wear the pants, and sometimes he irons them. But the thing about that is that, if I need something done, I can pretty well do most of it myself, or I might ask, and if there's no movement, then I'll get a man in. And so Jace is not your typical man, and I think the wonderful thing about him is that he feeds my soul with all his humour and his song and music and laughter and things like that, like he is. And so he really is one out of a box. So living with someone like that is pretty full on. But I am a bit of a control freak as a producer, so I clear the pitch so that we can have fun. And he's a very stop and smell the roses kind of guy. The journey is everything, so he's very good like that at home. And then at work, I just have such enormous respect for him. Like, he's an incredibly talented person. He's an absolute perfectionist who takes his comedy seriously. He's grown up on the Two Ronnies and Morecambe Wise. He just loves that old style variety show. And so because I respect that so much, I enjoy working with him and, seeing where his talents are going to take him, because he hasn't actually reached his limit yet. And so I feel like I'm always honing my skills and learning more so I could be of value to him and support him where he needs to go. And then similarly, I get this wonderful return at home with lots of fun.